Hello there, CodeMaker4 here. So in the last episode of the logic tutorial series, we ended with this circuit that is broken, and this circuit got broken because of a one-tick pulse input, as you can see. So many of your circuits will be vulnerable to weird user inputs. So in this tutorial, I will be teaching you how to prevent weird user inputs from entering and damaging your circuits. So let me just quickly recreate the scenario we have over there so I can more easily explain what's going on. So what happens with this one-tick pulse is that this gate will be turned off for one tick if we press it, but I'm not going to do that yet. So let's put some switches next to it to indicate which gates are on and which are off. Right, so in the default state it's on. So when we press it, for one tick long, this NOR gate will turn off because it has one input. It will turn off. In the next tick, this AND gate will, the other OR gate will start to turn on again because that one there is off. So it will turn on. This here will turn on again because of course the pulse is over. So in the next tick, this one here is going to turn off again because it has an input that's turned on. Of course this gate is still going to turn on because that one there was on. This one here is going to be staying on. But now what's going to happen is this gate here is going to stay off. This gate here is turning off. And this gate here is going to stay on. And now we're back at the beginning. This entire loop will start to repeat continuously and very fast. And this all caused by a one-tick pulse, and it will also be caused by a two-tick pulse. So a three-tick pulse is the shortest pulse that is going to be safe. So what you can do is you can create a complicated circuit that will detect one or two tick pulses and will shut off the input. You can also make it easier. We can just add a bunch of ticks to the input. This here can be done by just a very simple chain of OR gates. So do OR gates in a chain, and your input is going to be connected to all the OR gates at the same time. What's going to happen? Well, let's create a small diagram over here. So we have the three OR gates, right? And at the beginning they will be turned off for a while, until I give the inputs, and at the input, because they're all connected, they're all going to be turning on at the same time. In the next tick, the input will be off because we are expecting a one-tick pulse. So this input will turn off. These here are going to stay on because they are still affected by the previous ones. So this gate here is going to be affected by that. So it stays on. This one here is affected by that. So it stays on. Now of course this OR gate will stay off. This OR gate will turn off because it has no more inputs turned on in the previous tick. And the last gate will still remain on actually. But then of course everything has died out and it will be off forever. As you can see, in the last gate, which is this one here, we will have a 3-tick long pulse, which is nice. It's also so. Let's just demonstrate that it actually works. So create another SR latch, and now I'm going to give it a one-tick input. Of course, I did it in the wrong gate. As you can see, it works. And the great thing is, because we're just adding to the pulse, it will also work with a regular input. What's happening here is, of course, the pulse is going to be longer. So the initial state of the gate is going to be taking longer, and only afterwards will the decaying actually start. So then the output will simply stay on longer. So sometimes a pulse that's too long may also damage your circuit. So what we're going to do over here is we're going to again look back at the previous episode, and we're going to be creating a pulse that's first going to guarantee that the pulse is actually short. And then we're going to make it long to the right length again with these OR gate chains. So we're going to have a button input, and if you remembered your gate, you have a NOR gate on the AND gate, simply connect it like this. This here can be any of the inverting gates because it has only one input. This gate here must be an AND gate, however. Now we know for sure that there's a one-tick pulse coming out of here, so we can create a OR chain of 3 gates. And now we're just gonna create a chain and hook up everything to the chain. As you can see, it will always give out a pulse of exactly 3 ticks. You can also try and measure this. So let's create another one of those timelines again. And it's only one-dimensional in this case. So usually the input is of course off. But at some point where if everything works right, there will be a 3-tick long pulse. So maybe we can have 5 gates in a chain like this. That will be also at some point, if the pulse is correct, they will be in these on-off states. So 3 in the middle will be on, and 2 on the outside will be off. If we invert those, they will actually also be on. And this here can be simply put with an AND gate. It will work because if it's, for example, a 2-tick pulse, then this pulse is also going to be, this gate won't turn on. And the AND gate that's going to be connecting to all of this also won't be turned on. So let's create that circuit. So we'll be creating a chain of gates. This can be any type of gate as long as it's non-inverting. I'm just going to leave it as AND gate because I'm lazy, and you probably are too. Create a chain. So the outside 2 gates must be inverting. So let's just create these NOR gates. I'm actually going to be adding some regular gates again to make sure that the delay is correct and everything comes in at the same time. Now with an AND gate as output, let's just connect everything up like this and like that. And I'm also going to be connecting a horn to the output, because there will only, the correct situation will only exist for 1 tick at once, of course. So this is going to be a very short pulse, so I'm just going to create some sound so that everyone can see it even on low frame rates. It will always be exactly 3 ticks, even if we give it a 1-tick input. But say you want to create a very long pulse, then you want like a bunch of seconds. Then you're going to need a lot of OR gates, and this is going to start to lag your world and taking a lot of space. So you have the timer. So we have an input, the timer, and just an output. You can connect it right like that, very easy. But the timers can only have 1 input, of course. It's multiple outputs as always. If there's no delay, it will still have a 1-tick delay, but it's barely noticeable. Even if it says 0 ticks, it still has a 1-tick delay. It actually has the amount of ticks here plus 1, because it is an actual thing, so there will be a 1-tick delay because of Scrap Mechanics logic system. So actually it's lying to you. Naughty timers. But the great thing about timers is that, well, it's overcomplicated. Let's not say that yet. That's going to be the reason that the circuit can actually still be broken. So say we want to press a button and we want the output to be on for 5 seconds. About 5 seconds, it doesn't have to be exact. So of course you could use a lot of AND gates, but that's going to be a lot of OR gates, but that's going to be having disadvantages. So we're going to be creating a circuit with timer and memory. So when you initially press it, it's going to turn on the gate and it will start to delay, turn it off again. So we're using memory and this timer. Of course, first we're going to be creating a safe pulse. So ignore on the AND gate for the 1 tick pulse. So now we know exactly what will come in. We're going to be making the pulse a bit longer, 3 ticks to be exact. This is such that the memory won't flip out. Now we create a memory. Let's wire up some things. So this thing here is going to be for setting it, and we're going to hook up a timer of 5 seconds. So 5 seconds later is actually also going to be giving a pulse to the reset. And now we can just give the output back. So now what we can do is we can press the button, and it doesn't matter how we press it, but it will always be giving an output for 5 seconds long. I'm just going to also add a gate for visualization purposes. The great thing about this is if you want to change the amount of time it takes, you don't have to destroy a lot of the gates, you can just change the timer. That's only going to be on for 1 second. It will only be on for 1 second even if I press it for longer than 1 second. And if I give the 1 tick pulse, it still won't tick. Of course, there is still ways to break this. You can, for example, give 2 button presses, or even 3. So why does this happen? So we have what we're going to be drawing. We will have the output and we're going to be giving it a blue color, and the input is going to stay orange. With the output and the input. So actually I'm going to draw it differently on the output here, and the memory is going to be this purple stuff, and that's going to be the memory inputs. So memory, press the button once. It's giving a green input to the memory, and a bit later it will be giving a red output again. So the output is going to be on for this specific amount of time. So what would happen if I give another input here? It's going to be setting it again. It's going to be resetting it again a bit later. Because a double set on a set reset latch does nothing, some things are barely noticeable. But if I do this part where there's still a turn off event pending, if you then would give another input, it will set again and give this shorter pulse. Now the challenge for you is to come up with a solution for this. It doesn't matter how you do it, maybe you can detect if something is already in the timer, or you can prevent something, a second input. So that's going to be the challenge for you, your homework, while I create the next episode, probably more in depth about memory and how to create ultra fast memory, or even do some advanced addressing, multiplexing, and we'll be slowly but surely getting closer to building all the components necessary for a scrap mechanic computer. And yes, I will be building a second one containing some of the components I'll be teaching you how to build. So look out for that. Subscribe and turn on your notifications. You can also go to my Discord server if you don't want your notifications from YouTube, or if you want 2 notifications per video. You can also go there to share your nice scrap mechanic builds on some other stuff. And I'll be sharing some non-YouTube or non-YouTube worthy stuff on there too. So go check it out. All links are in the description except for the links to these things, because you can build them yourself right now. Thank you for watching and bye, I guess.